What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. Coming up on today's show, we're going to start off by talking about Adoree Jackson and Dalton Risner as ESPN put out an article suggesting that the Minnesota Vikings are the best fit for these two. They're going to round out today's show talking about Calais Campbell as there is still a need at the interior defensive line spot for the Vikes, and he is the best one still on the market. But before we dive into that, guys, we're actually in a race to 100 subscribers battle with our Falcons Today show. And, personally, with them taking our quarterback Kirk Cousins this offseason, I want to beat them, not just on the field week 14 when they come to US Bank Stadium, but also off the field. So if you guys haven't already, lock us in as your go-to Vikings YouTube channel. And, hey, maybe we can be the first channel to reach 100 subs. So if you guys haven't already, hit that sub button. We will get to Adoree Jackson here in a second. But first off, I just got to give a big-time shout-out to that man right there, Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves, as they took down the Denver Nuggets last night in an absolute battle of a Game 7. Came back from 20 down, and I just love everything about this basketball team. And, I was also thinking about it. We do watch parties here on the channel for every Vikings game during the year. Maybe if the Timberwolves make the NBA Finals, maybe we go live here on the channel for those games. Let me know if you guys would want me to do that down below. But ESPN did call the Minnesota Vikings the best fit for free agent cornerback Adoree Jackson. And obviously there is still a need at that cornerback spot for Minnesota. And then ESPN just started connecting some dots here, and they said the best fit for Adoree is the Minnesota Vikings. This is what they had to say. They said the Vikings drafted cornerback Khyree Jackson out of Oregon in the 4th round of April's draft. He's long at 6'4" and has the physical traits to challenge wide receivers. But there's still a need to add cornerback depth for an aggressive defense under coordinator Brian Flores that will heat up the pocket. They carried on to say last season, Minnesota led the NFL with a blitz rate of 49.4%. That's a combination of zone and man pressure, which fits the aggressive coverage traits and eyes of Adoree Jackson. Even with the lack of ball production, only 4 career interceptions, Jackson can provide competition in the Minnesota secondary this summer, and the scheme can put him in a position to make plays. I thought this was a great article written by Matt Bowen of ESPN, and I totally agree with what he's saying. Like, in terms of a scheme fit, Adoree and the Vikings, it makes all types of sense. Now, could he be able to, crack this rotation? I think the big three you see on screen right now of Murphy, Shaq Griffin, and Akayleb Evans, they'll be getting rotation reps no matter what. And then you got guys like Mekhi Blackmon, and then obviously the 4th rounder, Khyree Jackson. He's more of a developmental pick, even though he is 25 years old. Only really had his first true breakout year in his senior year at Oregon. But, I think Adoree could crack this rotation and just be an overall good mentor. And I think he still has a lot left in the tank. This past season was, he struggled for the New York Giants. No doubt about it. You go talk to any Giants fans, this past season, they were not happy with his play, and for right reason. We take a look at his PFF grades. He graded out in the 40s, had an overall grade of 48.6. Pretty still solid in the run defense at 59.9, coverage at 45.9. But if you take a look at where he was the year before that, back in 2022, where he was fantastic. We actually did a great job on Justin Jefferson in that wild card game. Obviously had some safety help over the top, but he still really performed well, hence why he graded out very solid. 72.2 overall, still good in the run defense, and his coverage grade was at a 71.5. But this guy's been productive over the past couple of years, and injuries have been, his biggest downfall dating back to 2020. Only playing 3 games that year, 13 in 2021, only 10 in 2022. But he stayed fairly healthy this past season, even though he wasn't, too productive. And, the thing is with Adoree Jackson is why I would be, not just intrigued of bringing him to this organization just because of his production on the field, but also I think his locker room value as well. Like, he would add, some sort of leadership and some sort of mentorship for these younger quarterbacks in this Vikings cornerback room. So, overall, if I had to make the pick, would I sign Adoree Jackson? I am saying yes. I am, typing my S for sign, but, maybe you guys disagree with me. Let me know. Would you sign Adoree Jackson? Maybe you are comfortable with where the Vikings cornerbacks shake out right now. Let me know your thoughts down below. Would you sign Adoree Jackson? Give me an S for sign or give me a P for pass down in the comments section. So ESPN also linked Dalton Risner to the Minnesota Vikings, calling them their best fit for the interior offensive lineman, and I think it makes a whole lot of sense. Dalton Risner is one of those moves where I just keep on looking down at my phone, and I feel like any single second now we could be getting that notification that he is re-signing, and Matt Bowen of ESPN also agrees with that. He says a return to Minnesota makes the most sense here for Risner, who logged a pass block win rate of 95.5% last season, which was 5th among guards, while allowing just 2 sacks. He can drop, anchor in pass protection to close down interior rush lanes, and he displayed a rugged play style as a run blocker in Kevin O'Connell's offense. Minnesota currently has Blake Brandel and Ed Ingram slated to start. Now, just taking a look at where the offensive line shakes up right now, you got the all-pro left tackle in Darisaw, no question marks or concerns around him. Blake Brandel, when he did fill in last season at right guard, he was okay, but, was he good? Not really. Garrett Bradbury's still a roller coaster, former first-round pick. I'm really hoping this is the year he kind of starts acting like a first-round pick and is just consistently good for Minnesota. And then Ed Ingram, talk about a roller coaster. He's the definition of it. It's the hills and valleys with his games. He's just been inconsistent. Sometimes I'm looking at him, watching his play, and I'm like, man, this guy could be a stud, but then he has games where he just really, really struggles. Then also Brian O'Neill, question marks around him. Did not bring his best last season, but I'm still a believer in Brian O'Neill. You got the 2 tackles that I'm not worried about at all. And listen, Dalton Risner was good for the Vikings last year. I mean, the PFF grades don't really show it too much, but 57.1 overall, 67.4 in pass block, and I still loved him in the run block game. And even dating back to his 2022 year with the Denver Broncos, he was really good as well. And that's why it's kind of one of those head-scratching non-moves that we haven't seen in the NFL offseason is him signing somewhere. He did get on Twitter, and he did vocalize his frustration with not being signed. And, this is definitely just coming down to guaranteed money, maybe years on his contract. But if I'm the Vikings, clearly Risner wants to be here. Why not bring him back? Just make the life of Sam Darnold or J.J. McCarthy, whoever ends up starting, it would just make their life so much easier. But right now it is Blake Brandel, who is slated in to start at left guard, the big old 6th-round pick from Oregon State, 6'7", 315 pounds, was coming out as a tackle originally, but he did play over 150 snaps last season at right guard, and PFF, graded him out pretty well. So, I understand, Vikings fans, even me, I'm pounding the table. We need to get Dalton Risner. We need to bring him back. I understand that completely, but Blake Brandel's not that bad of an option. Look at the PFF grade, 63.8 in the run block, 52.2 in the pass block. It wouldn't be, worst case scenario if Dalton Risner doesn't come back. But you guys let me know. Pick a starting left guard for me. You could go Blake Brandel, and that means we could take the potential money we would use on Dalton Risner and fill another position need, or maybe you want to go all in on Dalton Risner. Give me a DR for Risner, or give me a double B for Blake Brandel. I do want to close out today's show talking about Calais Campbell, as he is, in my opinion, the best interior defensive lineman still out there on the market. So I'll give you guys my thoughts on him here in a second. But first off, got to let you guys know about a sweet deal we have going on at chatsports.com/Vikings jersey. You can pick up your J.J. McCarthy jerseys today. I have one in the mail already. I cannot wait to wear it, during our watch parties and during our videos during the week. So if you guys want to get hooked up with a brand new J.J. McCarthy, wear one of the hottest Vikings jersey that you will see in U.S. Bank Stadium. Click that link, chatsports.com/Vikings jersey, and get your McCarthy jersey today. So shout out to producer Tex putting this headline in here, Father's Time's greatest loss. And that is 100% true. This dude is 37 years old, and he is still one of the most productive interior defensive linemen we have seen in the NFL. I mean, look at his stats over the last 4 years. It's just the definition of consistency. And him being that old last season and still playing 17 games, there is still a lot left in the tank for Calais Campbell. 6.5 sacks, 17 QB hits, even dating back to the years before. Still consistent, still productive, still being able to get it done. And there's no doubt that the interior defensive line of the Vikes, man, you're going to have to make a move. Jerry Tillery, I do have him slated in there to start next to Harrison Phillips. Could it be Jacqueline Roy? Could it be Rodriguez? I'm not too sure yet, but I'm going to go Jerry Tillery as it is right now. But I would like to add in Calais Campbell to this unit, because then if you got a 4 of Grenard, Turner, Phillips, Calais Campbell, then Andrew Van Ginkel working his way in, Patrick Jones, Andre Carter, you have a much better group than, the common NFL fan thinks. And I think Calais Campbell would add some sort of mojo and some sort of toughness to the trenches of the Minnesota Vikings. And my overall take under the Kevin O'Connell era is the Vikings need to get tougher in the trenches because they have been too much of a finesse football team under Kevin O'Connell. When they won 13 games a couple years ago, it was everything on the outsides. A lot of it was Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson bailing them out at the end of these games. And, when it comes to December, January football, when you're going up against the Lions, Packers, and Bears, you're going to need to be better in the trenches. And I think a guy like Calais Campbell, even though he's not the same guy that he once was 10 years ago, but he can still be productive, add some sort of swag to that defensive line unit. So I would be all in on the Vikes bringing in either Adoree Jackson, Calais Campbell, or obviously, re-signing Dalton Risner. But you guys let me know. Name one player you want the Minnesota Vikings to sign. If I had to pick one out of the three we just talked about, I'm going to go Calais Campbell. Yeah, I think I'm going to go Calais Campbell out of those three. I just want the Vikings to get tougher on the interior, and I think adding a guy like that, that's a guy you see when he's walking off the bus on road games, 6'8", just cut up. Yeah, I would no doubt go Calais Campbell. But also, if you guys want to give me a follow on Twitter, this is the handle right there, @PatSiep. So I'll give you guys a follow back, of course. If you guys just want more Vikings content on your timeline, I would really appreciate it if you guys give me a follow over there. Thank you guys so much for watching today's show. See y'all later. Let's go Vikes.